Hello, my friends, and welcome to 4 o'clock Sunday Stories here at the Vauxhall Den, the lair, where I've got kids playing outside and laughing merrily, and someone outside the door who seems to be talking to himself. Crazy world. Yeah, my take on the week, good and bad. You see, I have been popping into a cafe, a little shop in Stratford called the Spotted Treehouse. It's an art cafe. People come in with their kids, or yesterday there was 7 to 8 adults to paint the pots that have been created on a kiln, on a potter's wheel, and then have them steamed in the kiln, and they look beautiful, really good. But there's been some issues with electric, and they've kept going. That's the point. They've kept going with the people coming in, and they've done their best through a difficult period. And then when I post about this, about how I've seen the people smiling and or happily working on their pieces, there's someone come on to social media and called me fake, part of the group. Well, I am part of the group in that I regularly go in there, but I'm certainly not paid by them. And it's this social media, isn't it? There's always someone who wants to jump in with a negative. And I guess the answer is that we've all got to work with that and understand how we can deflect or work back on that negative comment that someone's always going to leave. I know that my other work in Stratford at Tudor World, they will get some negative results. We get a reasonable amount of people going through in the week. There's always going to be someone who is not happy. It'd be interesting to go back, and I know people have written about this, but how to push back on those negative TripAdvisor or Facebook posts that work against you. Might be something for the future. Now I'm talking about Tudor World. Because it's been a good week, I now have a couple of extra dates there, a Wednesday, a Friday, and I'll be doing 2, hopefully 3 Saturdays a week when the winter comes in, and we do find that couples start to pick up. And it's fascinating that I've had really 3 really good groups who were involved in the tour around the house and interested in the stories, but also willing to go a little bit deeper and be a little bit wary of the stories and the atmosphere within the building, which has been shown by investigations to be haunted. And it's fascinating that just that word means that many people do open up to the possibilities. I've had one man faint, absolutely collapse halfway through the tour. I had a young lady on Friday who swears that when we talked about a young girl who had a penchant for twisting rings on fingers, her hands tingled. She got a reaction. We've had a woman talk of her legs being stroked when we've been through the room with a serial killer, an actual serial killer. So you see, it's a dichotomy, isn't it? Through people wanting to hear a ghost story, being fascinated perhaps by the house and by the stories, but then also suffering reactions, and throughout those reactions wanting to be entertained. And it's a fascinating little insight into the human psyche, the unknown, and a fascination for the unknown. You see, that leads me into my world story and the fact that I believe we've got to prepare for some really destructive events, not this year, but next year. This year is going to be bad, we're told. Supply chain issues, food issues, manure issues coming from abroad, and issues which in many ways won't matter which government is in power, because there is, we all know now, a bigger power, a more powerful power than virtually all the governments, the power of the super elites who've all clubbed together for the New World Order, the World Economic Forum. And they have their agenda, they have their issues, and they can take those issues into action. And it's going to affect savings. It's going to affect our finances. There's no doubt people are talking about banks changing their terms and conditions so that they will have more control over not only our money in the bank, but what we spend, what we take out of the bank. There are people talking about union strikes worldwide to shut down and to close down movement between people, to close down logistics, how we get food and goods to the supermarket. Yeah, it's dark, but we can't close our eyes to that. I'm fascinated how businessmen on LinkedIn and businesswomen, on LinkedIn as well, may well be closing their eyes to what's going to happen, may well be turning a blind eye to the signs, the results of their bottom lines this year, and not projecting ahead to what's going to be happening next year. We're told to make a 5-year plan, a business plan. I think we're going to have to start factoring in some devastating effects of banks, of governments, of law and security agencies, of Facebook, of StreamYard, of people getting closed down simply for their views. It'd be interesting to see if anything happens to my 4 o'clock Sunday stories. It's small at the moment, but it grows. It grows when I start to promote people like Tim Pool. You will still get him on Facebook for a while, but certainly Tim is talking about the way his huge following is being slowly chopped down by Facebook. but he's not prepared to accept it. He started his own alternatives to Facebook, to YouTube, to LinkedIn, even to the way you pay to receive his information. That's the way we're going to have to go. It's going to be down to the entrepreneurs out there, maybe even the college and the university students taking business studies, to look at what's going to be happening over the next 2 to 3 years and maybe ignore the advice from their professors and start looking at the alternative economy. On a brighter note, I am at Tudor World next week on Wednesday and Friday. Come along and be entertained. Be a little bit afraid, but to go home knowing that you've had a laugh and you've had a good time. Have a great week. See you next week. Take care. Bye then.